we have the United Steelworkers. We heard about this. This happened just the day before this comes out.
Fascinating stuff. So this begins in a different portion. It's funny. You're probably thinking right now, United Steelworkers. What the hell does this have to do with football? Can we like someone's hitting the pause button? Like, what the hell is about to be said? Anyway. So the United Football Players Association, it is a non-for-profit started up by former Commanders running back, as well as former Seattle Dragons running back Kenneth Farrow, as well as other people that he is associated with that have been in the alt football scene or have been behind the scenes. They are essentially a non-for-profit 501c4 organization. That's what they describe themselves as on their website, that represents professional football players in North America, around the globe. They are not a union, but they advocate for players' rights, salary rights, and other compensation pieces, as well as for, helping players get the resources they need to look into leagues like an XFL, a USFL, smaller leagues too. I've talked with Kenneth before, previously outside the show, arenas on the table as well. Mm-hmm. That they want to make sure players, after seeing some leagues like the XFL, the AAF, mostly the AAF really, go down in flames and leave people and players abandoned, which Kenneth was with the San Antonio Commanders, so he knows this very well. They're wanting to build something that is a resource outside the NFLPA that allows players that can't get in the NFL or are in leagues outside the NFL to do this. So what better way to help bolster that than get a very well-respected union that is in the U.S., the United Steelworkers is going to be backing them, is essentially what it is. We'll go through the whole press release here and kind of let you hear into this. Otherwise, we'll link it in our YouTube video here.
Yeah, we'll have a link down there. Yeah, let me read some excerpts from this here real quick. So, again, it starts out, United States Steelworkers today proudly announced its affiliation with the United Football Players Association, so the UFPA, founded in 2020. As again, I think they founded right after the XFL kind of folded, and that was
only a few months after.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
It was only a few.
So founded in 2020, UFPA is composed of football players with experience in the National Football League, Arena League, American League of American Football, XFL, Canadian Football League, and others. Now, it's funny. So, again, this press release was written by the United Steelworkers. I'm assuming the Arena League of American Football is supposed to be the AAF.
I think that might have been a typo. I know they put Arena League. I'm like, but there's multiple. We can get into semantics where it's like there's multiple. But yeah.
So together, the USW, United Steelworkers, and UFPA will fight to represent professional athletes in the United States Football League, XFL, and other potential leagues who are not covered by contracts like those in the NFL's Players Association, and win the benefits and protections of a union contract. So again, it's what we saw. We kind of saw this blow up a little bit over the summer with the CFL, right? There was kind of some murmurs that, well, if the CFL doesn't play, these guys were trying to come in there, help these guys out. I think they got some unnecessary blowback from some of the things they said, but these things are useful. I don't know how much the leagues would agree, but regardless, we need to keep everybody happy in these situations. But we have some quotes. So, labor, hours, and working conditions for players are areas where a union can make a difference in improving them. Will give everyone an opportunity to thrive. That's coming from Ryan Cave, who played 8 seasons of professional football and has been representing players for 10 years. From resolving issues with payroll to dealing with injuries and workers' compensation problems, players need a strong voice that the USW can help provide. So we're seeing the United Steelworkers essentially come in as a backbone for the UFPA, which... it seems like such a strange relationship. It really in name only. But once you get the steelworker piece out of it, you hit the nail on the head, no pun intended. But the fact that United Steelworkers is one of the largest unions in the country, right?
That's the big draw. Like this is to help guide this organization better, as well as what can we do to directly impact more. Here's our experience. How do you do this for workers and helping get what they need, or at least how you deal with certain aspects about this? A lot of it's just, for the UFPA, a lot of it's security. It's making sure players don't fall and have to deal with a bunch of this. They know where to get the paperwork. They know how to get these resources. They aren't going to get lost. They've been dealing with, getting certain monies for the XFL with its bankruptcy for 2.0, that is, and try and make sure, like, here's the paperwork for that. The AAF hasn't even fully gotten through all its paperwork, last we heard.
Yeah.
So they're dealing with this stuff. They're trying to get players that have been, and I'm going to say, quote unquote, in my words, screwed by people, mostly the Alliance. The XFL did a pretty good job at clarifying things, but the AAF really royally pissed off a lot of people.
Right.
So this is mostly a response to that, and just seeing other leagues that, like, they go 1 year, they go out. Kind of ties back to the USFL with, like, Moose Johnson, where it's like, we need to build trust.
Right.
Go beyond a year. But this also gets the players' angle. It helps the players say, okay, we've been down this road. Here's what we need from you.
Right.
We need to know this, that, and the other. What are you doing to where it's like, we're not just going to sign up and get totally thrown to the curb because you didn't think this through at the end too. Like, a lot of elements. And the Steelworkers, at least, it's a fighting for your position type of union and representation that this gets now.
Yeah, they know the ins and outs of it, right? I mean, they've been doing this for decades, right? And so, I mean, having that experience backing you is going to be a lot of help. But we have another quote here. So my experience of playing through injuries in between surgeries and assisting other players through several league bankruptcies showed that we cannot rely on the league to ensure our job security and financial stability. So this is coming from Kenneth Farrow, right? So as we spoke, he has experience in both the AAF and the XFL. Different reasons for their folding, but same outcome, same situations. And like you mentioned, the AAF, it's 3 years now, going almost 3 years since it folded. And there's a lot of guys that still haven't gotten paid. I mean, guys that didn't get paid from the time that they were playing there, right? Keep in mind, they almost didn't make payroll in their second week. So there were some struggles in there already. So, I mean, you can't be mad at this. Again, there's everybody has their opinions on unions. But at the end of the day, if it's going to make sure that these players are taken care of, or maybe you have a better chance of being taken care of if something goes south, sign them up. Now, that being said, I don't think we have to worry about that, at least with the USFL for the first 3 years. The big reason, we talked about it over and over and over and over again, we beat the horse dead so many times, but that central location, right? That's gonna be huge for cost savings. It's going to be huge for the illness that we shall not mention. If something like that spikes again, or something different but similar, like, they kind of have their ducks in a row. They have the experience. And the good thing with Fox is they dealt with the XFL, then they dealt with the Spring League. And so they have a lot of different experience beyond working with the NFL for, ages now. They revolutionized the NFL. People forget that. If it wasn't for Fox, we would not have scored. Well, we probably would by now, but we would not have scores as soon as we did on the screen throughout the entire game.
They were a massive impact when they came on the scene in 1993. I think it was. It's kind of weird. Like, they're still the newest player in the NFL for that.
Right.
But yet they're the ones that, they made the biggest splash. Like, still to this day, there are some people that, they'll talk about, especially in, you talk about documentaries or things like that. When Fox came on and booted CBS from their contract, out of the blue,
right,
that made a big shockwave.
For sure.
When they had to renegotiate. It was big.
Oh, yeah. They made something out of it. So hopefully we'll see the same with the USFL, right? Fox, maybe they got that magic touch. We're getting a little bit off topic here, but all in all, like I said, I can't be mad at this news. I can't be mad that there's people out there fighting for the players that we all enjoy watching, because, for the third or fourth week straight, I'm going to bring him up. Todd Bercovici, is that his name? Todd? I got the name
Mark
right.
Bercovici.
Mark Bercovici. I got the last name right in the first name. Mark Bercovici. Those situations, they're going to happen, right? They're going to happen. They happen in the NFL. You can't expect them not to happen in the spring leagues. And so having groups like this around are going to ensure that those guys are taken care of after the fact, right? Because, realistically, all it takes is one good hit to make sure you never play again, right? This is they're making it safer, but just like any contact sport, things happen. And so I love seeing things like this. And, let's be honest here. Although I don't think it's going to happen with the USFL, we did watch the last two major, every major spring football company that's come around fail. Whatever the reason, right? Including the old USFL. Again,
right.
Whatever the reason. We're not going to talk about that here, because I feel like some people might get heated if you get it might be a huge argument. That's all I'll say.
No, I totally understand. I understand. entirely. Yes.
So we'll step away from that one.
Back off just a second.
So
I feel you.
I mean, all in all, I'll take it.
My final thing is just simple. I like having representation where it holds something accountable, because it's the experimentation of leagues is great, and getting that early access and just like getting that first step is nice, but a lot of these leagues have proven that so far that they haven't stayed around. So players do unfortunately get the short end of the stick eventually in a lot of them. So having that to back is great. I want to see something grow like that. The UFPA is a great start. Getting something like the United Steelworkers, which has been around since the 30s, when unions started really popularizing back in the day, and it's been one of the most pronounced ones. That's a great piece to have in your corner.